Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Kephart coming to you from the greater Cedar Rapids, Iowa area. Um, what do we got going on? I guess we got to start off with the shooting that happened down in Tallahassee at Florida State University. Um, I'm not going to mention his name. It's everything that's coming out so far. So this kid, he's 20 years old. His mother, 18-year veteran for the county sheriff there. Um, Two people are dead, I guess, from what's being reported. The gunman is alive. He's in custody. So, and he used his mother's service weapon. That's kind of tragic. So, trying to sort this out, we got the fingers pointing like always. It's your side's fault. No, it's your side's fault. Okay, so we got to sort it through this. So, again, this is already starting just getting into it a little bit. It's already starting to look like this Thomas Kirk's type stuff going on. That you know, supposedly Kirk's was registered Republican. Well, we found out this kid supposedly, according to voter registration, he's a Republican. Uh, Now that's where you get conflicting reports with that Thomas Kirk skid out there with the assassination attempt on Trump. He had also made donations, though, to Democrats' side. So I really don't care about that. What I do care about is that Florida State had to scrub something off of the internet from January of this year, where he was interviewed about something and made it sound like he was really, really anti-Trump. So uh, you got that, and they scrubbed that off of there because they don't want it to look bad and people to actually come to a different conclusion on this kid's mentality. But um, I would venture to say he probably was Republican at the time. This was also a couple of years ago that he registered. You got to do what mommy and daddy says. He has been at Florida State. Our universities are so left leaning that he very well could have been transformed. I did see where he was pictured with handling pro-Palestinian stuff. Definitely was. It's another weird case. I'm sure more is going to come out here in the long run. What happened? The two deceased people are not students at Florida State University, so don't know. We'll find out more. Maybe they were just visiting this campus. Unfortunately, you're not going to be going to school there anymore. Bad jokes, bad timing. But either way, both sides are blaming each other. Worried about are we going to have? Is this going to turn into another? Well, guns. We got to ban the gun because guns are the problem. Guns are not the problem. Guns are tools. Again, universities are, for the most part, all of them are uh, no weaponry allowed on campuses. So another soft targets, just like our normal schools, are K through 12 schools that are, most of them are unarmed. We do have a few states that can allow their teachers to carry. That will cut down on some of that. I mean, they look for soft targets. Criminals are always going to look for soft targets, and guns are always going to be the easy to get to tool. We won't mention. I did see somebody post something about how Japan only had 4 or 5 shootings, murdered by gun last year. It's like, okay, well, how many people died from being stabbed? Because that's more prevalent, or beaten to death with a hammer or something like that. That's more prevalent in these countries that their citizenry has given up their weaponry for the most part, or the government's made it so hard that their citizens can't have weapons. Um, Switzerland pretty much requires their citizens to have weaponry, but um, like I said, there's just a lot of eerie eerie similarities going on here. Looks like another crazed out kid. Of course, there's people saying that, I knew him. He was pro-Trump. I knew him. He was anti-Trump. I knew him when he was this name. And I'm not for sure. We're less a few hours removed from this. We'll find out more. Let the dust kind of settle. Kind of the same thing we're doing, waiting on Pam Bondi, though. And with the arrests, the arrests need to come. We've got too many. There's too much evidence out there to not be starting to get some of these people arrested. Even with the declassification and the release of these Operation Crossfire or Crossfire Hurricane documents, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page need to be locked up, not be rewarded millions of taxpayers' dollars for their secret affair being exposed to the public. Right? Another activist judge awarding us money that's rightfully not theirs. They were using government phones, which is, if it's government property, that means it belongs to me and you. That means everything that goes through that phone should fall under a FOIA request to get all the text messages back and forth. So, and it has to be preserved according to the documents policies in that. So what they were saying on government property, they should have went to jail for instead of being rewarded money. And Pam, get off of Fox News. I'm tired of seeing you on Fox News. They said we need arrests. Same with Cash. We've gotten a few here and there. That's great. I understand the fight we're having with this El Salvadorian. We got a crazy kooky senator from Maryland that went down there to, I'm going to get this guy back because he's a Maryland person and Maryland father. He's not Maryland. He was an illegal. And they tried laying this all out in a press conference on Monday in the Oval Office. And the press still doesn't understand, and they're still rolling with this because I hear the updates. But this guy from 2019, from two different courts, recognized that he is an illegal from El Salvador. And he was a member of MS-13, which now MS-13 is a a terrorist organization. So the whole thing started off with, it was a clerical error because I guess he was supposed to not, if he got deported, he wasn't supposed to get deported back to El Salvador. He's supposed to get deported someplace else because it might put his family at danger. Well, that tells you right there he's got ties to MS-13 or other criminal gang affiliation. But this guy's not a good guy anyway. I mean, he did have separation from his wife up here, and had a restraining order, more or less a protective order, because he had beat her and all this stuff. But the point is this guy was supposed to be deported in 2019. He got deported back to El Salvador, which I guess is not where he was supposed to go, but he is an El Salvadorian citizen, so he's in El Salvador, and because he was a member of MS-13, he is in their maximum security prison that is just revolutionized El Salvador. They used to be the murder capital of the Americas, and now they're one of the safest nations in all of the Americas. They don't want criminals walking around, so they lock them up. And they don't give them a chance to rehab. They just treat them like animals, and if that's what you're going to do to other people, I guess then that's what we should treat you. So, do unto others as you would have done unto you. Well, in a way, we should do to them as they did to others. So that whole other subject. But anyway, so this senator goes down there because he wants to meet with the guy. He wants to get him out of there. He more or less wants to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador to bring him back to Maryland. So then we can, well, deport him again because he is not an American citizen. He is an illegal. And the Supreme Court did rule 9-0. The United States would have to facilitate if El Salvador wants to give him up, the U.S. will fly him back to the United States. That's all we have to do. But El Salvador is not going to give him up. He's their citizen, and he's now their criminal. And like Buchel said the other day, if I were to bring him up here, I would be bringing a terrorist into the United States. Like, that's a jailable offense right there. So it's more lawfare. It's still the same judges that are just, for some weird reason, they want to do political career suicide, because in the long run, these judges are going to lose. We don't have to go too far back in history. We're only about 250 years old. The Constitution's less than that. And the argument at the time and in the Federalist Papers that our founding fathers really did not care for judges, because judges will become what they are now. They're not as useful. They shouldn't be actually part of government. Like I've talked about before, the Supreme Court used to never even have their own building. Their building is one of the newest buildings in D.C. because before that, they operated out of the basement of the Capitol because nobody cared about the Supreme Court. The courts are there to judge law. They are not to disrupt policies and override the president. The Supreme Court cannot. They can try to override the president. They can put stops to stuff. But like what Andrew Jackson did, okay, you ruled on it, stop me. And it got done anyway. So how it's a battle, but these judges that are not even part of the federal, they're federal judges, but to be putting out all this crap, they're pulling, they don't care about the Constitution. They never have cared about the Constitution. They're there to disrupt the Constitution. And we've been following the money trails and why we can't do something about this in Congress. This is, I know Mike Johnson talked about it, over a month ago, especially with this one Bozeman from DC courts that's been handling a lot of the January 6 cases. He's one behind getting all these Tren Agua guys supposedly back. You sent them out. They were in mid-flight, and I need to know if they took off while I had a verbal order on that or if it was written, and blah, blah, blah. You'll have to get these people back. And again, the judge has no right to meddle with the president on foreign affairs. The Supreme Court has said that. Appeals courts have said that. We cannot stop the president on foreign affairs. This unelected judge thinks he knows what's best for America. He's going to try to rule America from the bench. And we don't elect these people. So all your federal judges, Supreme Court, we never elected them. Their power is they think they have a lot of power, and it is kind of vested to them in the Constitution, but there should be a lot more, there should be a way to more take back their powers, because like it's showing, they're starting to use lawfare against every little thing. There was a few on Biden, some injunctions, and some of those there was a few of them just that had to do with the student loan thing, which rightfully so. How are you going to pay the student loans? You're going to tax us more to pay for these student loans that they're responsible for. I was responsible for mine. They should be responsible for theirs. Rightfully so. There are some that I get. Supreme Court is going to be hearing arguments having to do with the um, birthright citizenship. Uh, that was another injunction that got filed, which we knew it that had to happen. That injunction kind of did have to happen because there's no case that was going to go up to the Supreme Court yet. So, um, and of course, they're always going to argue the 14th Amendment allows that. The 14th Amendment does not allow birthright citizenry. For the most part, a lot of our amendments that we had during the reconstruction of our nation after the Civil War, obviously the 13th Amendment matters the most, gives gives the rights or end slavery in the United States. Coincidentally, now we're all slaves to the U.S. dollar, but uh, we freed them then. But there's parts of the 14th Amendment that could stand now, but there's a lot of it had to do with Reconstruction, making sure that all the black people actually became citizens, that they were just grandfathered in, and whatnot. So there's a few amendments we can get rid of. I would like to see them get rid of. I mean, we've already rescinded one with rescinding prohibition, which was just that was a bad time for the nation. That could be part of the reason why we went into a depression. Who knows? But anyway, um, anything positive going on? I mean, Trump's winning. We're still winning. I, I I might complain about Pam Bondi, Cash Patel getting the rest, but things are going good. Things are looking positive. The tariff thing is going to come around. Um, it, we're looking better nationwide. It'll get there. Um, I guess Iowa news. Our governor Kim Reynolds, the first female governor of Iowa, who assumed governorship in 2017, I think it was, when yeah, it was 2017 when newly elected President Trump picked our Governor Terry Branstad to be the ambassador to China. So Kim was our lieutenant general. She took over. She won 2 elections since then, and she has announced that in 2026 she will not be running for re-election. She's going to concentrate on her family. Husband's got some medical issues and stuff like that. They have grandkids, and that's fine. I think she's done a good job for Iowa. I There's more that can be done. I really think there's a lot more that can be done. Um, a lot of the issues that I want to see be tackled right away, uh, even promised as a candidate here in Iowa, is I would like to see our income taxes go away. I'd like to see our property taxes go away. Um, I would like to see the use of eminent domain for private sector to be abolished. That needs to be something that's pushed through our Congress. They've been balking on it for the last couple of years. Um, we need to get that set in stone. The eminent domain is a really touchy subject, even when the government wants to try to do it. Um, I know an example here, right here in this area, where a farm stopped the growth of a bypass to the city for over a decade because they couldn't eminent domain his property to build this highway. They just had to keep offering him money, and he didn't want to sell. Didn't matter what the price was, he was not going to sell the property. So somehow they ended up and they got the property, and as soon as they got that property, that road got finished right away. So, um, but that's the way it should work. Your neighbors shouldn't be able to say that they'll have something come across their property and then force you to have to go across your property if you don't want it to. If you want it to do, if you want stuff to go, your property be taken by eminent domain, that's entirely up to you. If you're willingly to negotiate that, but for the state governments to come in and say, hey, we're at like a 51-40, or we're at a 60-40 for it and against it. Sorry, you're out of luck because this is kind of a democracy. You're going to lose your your rights to your land, and it's going to get sold at a price that it doesn't matter what you agreed on. Now it's a lot cheaper because we had to go this route. So I think that's a subject that needs to be addressed uh, drastically, and that's a fault on our house. Pat Grassley, he does need to get on the ball on that. Supposedly, I guess they didn't have enough votes for something or other. We got a lot of Republicans, I think, here in our Senate and State House that are starting to turn more purple as the years go on, and it's starting to annoy me. But another thing that we need to get on board, and that's just because I like our farms around here. I think there's a lot more we could do for our farmers. And one of them would be to legalize recreational marijuana and expand our medicinal outreach. I see way too much money going to other states when it comes to tax revenue. Now that's a group of people that they've been praying to be taxed just to have a plant legal. And again, I don't really think a plant should be illegal. It's nature. I think anything that grows in nature should not be illegal. That goes for peyote and psilocybin mushrooms and all that good stuff. It's natural. You know? And for the majority, most of that stuff will never kill you. You would have to do a lot. The amount of use of marijuana, THC, is so astronomical that you would wish you were dead but not even halfway to that point in time. So, damn it, stop. Sorry, my puppy is barking. But and that's the other thing I would like to see a new governor, the stance on that. I think those would be more of a step in the right direction. Another good thing, we are JFK Jr., RFK Jr., sorry, has he had said that he's going to figure out what causes autism by September. We got a little press conference today. Yeah, today. Excuse me, not today, but anyway, a couple days ago, and announced what the autism rates are right now for 8-year-old children. These are kids born 2016, something like that. This tweet, this X post is wrong. They actually had the number wrong. I had to go back and listen to it twice. But he said 1 in 31 MERS. 1 in 31 children that are 8 years old have autism. 31. I was born in 77. In 1980, it was like 1 in 400,000, 500,000 that would be autistic. It was very, very rare. And what's more alarming, 1 in 20 boys have autism. So that's 20%. That's good. No, that's not 20%. That's a good chunk of our kids, our boys, that have autism. In California, of course, they've got some of the strictest vaccination laws in the country, wanting you to definitely dope your kid up, inoculate them up before they go to school. And they have really good data on it. 1 in 12 and a half boys in California at 8 years old have autism. What's the correlation? Um, the correlation, it's pretty obvious at this point in time. It's got to be the vaccines. I'm not saying that some vaccinations can't work. I'm saying how we make our vaccines is the problem. Uh, Used to be like a smallpox vaccine. You would get introduced to some of the dead cells of smallpox virus, and your body would build up antibodies, and you're good for a long time. The flu shot used to be incubated in chicken eggs, and you were only we're going to guess if it's A, B, or C this year. We're going to guess B. All the shots are going to be for B. So if you have an outbreak of A, we're screwed. And they were incubated in chicken eggs, and it was relatively safe. I still didn't believe it because I've seen way too many people get the flu shot and end up getting really, really sick with the flu. So, ironic part of that. For the most part, though, is when you start combining all these vaccines and even the new vaccines with this MMR technology, you still have aborted fetal tissue in these. You still have high doses of aluminum, a lot of toxic chemicals. And the reason why they're there is to suspend the antibodies that's going to be giving you the vaccine. But the vaccine is actually worse than what you could actually get. I mean, we want to talk about the measles. Oh, we got a measles outbreak. One kid died of the measles. Well, died of the measles, actually died of pneumonia. And it was because of a doctor's error of not treating her with different type of the right antibiotic instead of this weird antibiotic that would have had nothing to do with it. But anyway, the girl went to the hospital for pneumonia. The measles had nothing to do with it. That was almost gone at that point in time. She actually died of pneumonia. So again, it's the media spin and everything. The CD, what you're seeing is a lot. Every year you've had the flu. Oh, this person died of the flu. That person died of the flu. That person died of the flu. The flu keeps track of that, and it was really funny looking at the whole thing. It says that you had we had 100,000 people supposedly die of the flu, but then the actual number was like 15,000 or less of actual people that died of just the flu. It's a whole numbers game. The whole thing with the COVID. Oh, everybody died of COVID. Well, no, you didn't. You still died of cancer. You had cancer throughout your whole body. You got COVID. COVID didn't matter. You died of cancer. So, but he's getting to the bottom of that. We'll see. And I think he knows. I know where he wants to go with it. There's other people that don't want him to go there. It puts his life at a lot of risk. He is taking on Big Pharma, and that's what he needs to do. He's got, as long as he leaves our gas alone, we're fine. But he'll get to the bottom of it. I'm pretty sure you're going to see the direct correlation of the MMR vaccines and in the 70-some shots a child has before their age of 6, including sexually transmitted diseases. I'm sure we're going to see this whole regimen go away. Pretty much everything we've been told having to do with our health and everything, the food pyramid, it's all been lies. The food pyramid, you should take it and flip it upside down. You should have less grains and more meats. That's the way our bodies function. And vegans have severe and all that stuff. It's because they're not getting the right proteins. But we've been exposed to a lot of this fried food for how many 60 years, 70 years now. So it's going to be a turning point. But we're still fighting on. Trump's still, like I said, we're still winning. We're still winning. Everything's good. We will take it and go with it, and live to fight another day, and we'll keep the. We're not the party of violence. I don't want to see violence, but let's get out there and use our words and put these people in their places with facts. It's really humbling to see them when they blow up when you're giving them facts. It's fun to see them explode. So anyway, God bless everybody. God bless the United States. Thank you.